RicoRock 2001 here. I'm making a little comparison video of some sort on original version to the re-release. Now, I want to talk about one of my all-time favorite childhood classics as a kid, and as well as one of my family members. I played this game with my sister. We love this game. The sequel we also liked, although I want to talk about the comparison between the original N64 variation and the re-release from Xbox Live and their golden replay, if I remember correctly. Now, I don't have an Xbox One, so I can't really talk about that version. So I'm going to say the Xbox Live arcade version is similar to that. You'll have to try at your own risk. I'm not responsible if it's different, so please don't ask. But I am going to compare Banjo Kazooie for N64 versus the Xbox Live arcade. Now let me go ahead and pull up the screen and show you on my television. Now, here we have the N64 version right in front of us. On my TV, as you can see, I have Banjo Kazooie on Xbox Live Arcade. So here's where things get different. Now, the opening, when you start the game on both versions, I'll talk about Banjo Tooie in a nearby future if I ever beat Banjo Tooie. I have not beaten Banjo Tooie. I have beaten Banjo Kazooie on the Xbox Live version, and I'm going to go over why. I'm still working on the N64 version, but I'll go over that in just a moment. You remember my video where I showed Snackers how to defeat him? I should mention, you can swim around the water after you use a gold feather, but he'll respawn 1 minute later, so be careful. You want to be sure you have a lot of gold feathers if you want him out of the way. You might want to carry tons of gold feathers with you, but you can only carry up to 10, so... But other than that, let's get back on topic. There are some differences between the 64 version and the Xbox Live version. The stop and swap trick is only on the Xbox version. If you want stop and swap, the N64 version is not the one to go for. Although I will mention, they did plan for it, but remember, it was a cartridge-based system. If you have an earlier variation of the N64, the black ones, it would have been possible. But Nintendo re-released their systems with the Fantastic series. They made a redesign of their motherboard, which I think they should have left it as is instead of redesigning it, but then again, for cost-effective. See, so, well, you can't always expect things to be the way it was. So they dropped the stop and swap trick on the N64 version, but they kept it for the Xbox Live version. So that's something. Things I need to mention. On the N64 version, when you collect stuff, whether it be music notes or the Jinjos, if you lose a life, or get game over, you have to collect all of them again. Unless you already collected all 5 Jinjos, then you don't have to worry about them again, but once you re-enter a level, you can choose to collect them again, or you don't have to unless you already got the Jiggy from them. On the Xbox Live version, you don't have to worry about collecting the Jinjos again, or the music notes again. But the music notes, if you lose a life or get game over, you will have to recollect the music notes, because it will kick you out of the level, and it'll say your highest note score is this, and you'd have to recollect the notes. It can be frustrating on some levels like Rusty Bucket Bay, if you know exactly what I mean, or even Click Clack Woods or any of the hard levels. It was Rusty Bucket Bay for me that was basically a nail biter or a rage quitter. So that's one pro for the Xbox version. But most people like the recollectability, so that may be a pro for N64 version, depending on how you look at it. Now, controls. To move Banjo around on both versions, you use the analog stick to control your character around. On the N64 version, it's obviously the analog stick. On the Xbox version, it's that. To crouch, you use the Z button on the N64, the triggers on the Xbox version. To jump, A. To attack, B. Although, I need to mention, to do the trick where you crawl up with Kazooie, you press Z and C left on the N64 version. On the Xbox version, you press both triggers. To fire eggs forward, you press the trigger and then A on the Xbox version. For the N64, it's Z and C up. To fire the other way direction, to put those eggs in those flower things to make the zombie safe. Thank you. I said thank you, by the way, in a zombie voice. I didn't say the other stuff that you probably thought I said. So you know. To move the camera around, you use the C buttons on the 64 or the C stick on the Xbox version. To do the gold feather trick, you press Z and C right. On this, you have to sort of do that with the Xbox version. You have to press the trigger and then press right on the thumbstick. The directional pad doesn't do anything in this game on either version. Another thing I need to mention is, again, the stop and swap trick. They kept it in the Xbox Live version. They took it out in the 64 version because of cost reduction for N64 consoles. I blame Nintendo for that. I think that's an option they should have kept. And they should have kept the motherboard the same design. Well, maybe change the heat sink, but not the design to make it where you would have to change it quickly. So, but other than that, Banjo Kazooie is a classic. So tell me in the comments, which version do you prefer? The N64 version or the Xbox Live version? Personally, while the N64 version may be nostalgia to me, I much prefer the Xbox Live version because, well, it's you don't have to recollect stuff in case you lose a life or mess up on stuff. I prefer having it out of the way. And, well, the up-to-date graphics I don't mind. I really don't mind any of the new stuff in the Xbox version, so I'm probably going to sell my N64 variation of Banjo Kazooie to a friend. Same with Banjo Tooie. But other than that, that's all I have to say for this video. Go ahead and tell me in the comments, which version of Banjo Kazooie do you like more? The original N64 version or the newer Xbox Live version? So that's all I want to share with you in this video. So thanks for watching. This is Rico Rocks 2001 signing off and saying, if you haven't played Banjo Kazooie, you need to. It doesn't matter whether you find an N64 variation or download it off of Xbox Live. You're going to love Banjo Kazooie. If you like cartoon-styled games or a good platformer or any of the following adventure games, Banjo Kazooie is a good way to start. Even the sequel Banjo Tooie is good. However, the third game, which was only on Xbox 360, which is called Banjo Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, I would avoid at all costs. I saw one copy over at a thrift shop, but I didn't bother picking it up because I saw a gameplay of it. It just feels watered out compared to the first two games. Even the two Game Boy Advance games actually felt like a proper Banjo Kazooie sequel. So, what can you expect? That's all I want to share with this video. This is Rico X1 saying, till then, see you in the next video.